Now that it's all sunk in, it was a wild, stressful, exciting, fun, crazy weekend. And for rowing, we're used to dealing with chaos and all the different things that can go wrong and having to, go from plan A to plan B to plan C. And that's only happened. We had the equipment breakage on Saturday, and then we're certainly used to dealing with the weather delays. And yeah, and I always look at that when there are those sort of opportunities when things go for things to shift and change, like immediately go into like, how can we use this to our advantage? And I really think the delay in the racing for the first 8, I think that worked in our favor for a couple of reasons. And, I give a lot of credit to everyone on our team, like some really hard fought races. And I think one of the quotes I gave, like, admittedly, the second 8 and the 4, they were a little bit disappointed in their end result. They fought hard and did a great job. But I think that they felt like they let the team down a little bit in not getting the win. But they set us up well for that first 8 to pull it on out. And that was a fun race to watch. And for myself, watching it along the bike path the whole way, and just, we have certain moments within the race like that we're supposed to focus on different aspects, and they did everything entirely to plan. In that third 500, which is oftentimes the most grueling, toughest part of the race, they really focused hard and fought hard. And once they were to stay with Stanford and just maybe a few meters behind him with 500 meters to go, it's like, okay, well, I think we can do this. And I knew that it had to line up that the finish order had to go Texas, Stanford, Washington. And as we started to pull away from Washington with about 700 meters to go, it's like, okay, this is lining up the way we wanted. We have a shot. And then, 250 to go, and we started to really move. I'm like, all right, oh my goodness, we're going to do it. And it was sort of storybook the way it all worked out. So yeah, everyone's really happy. It's great. And if I got together with our graduating seniors last night. We have this annual get together the day after NCAAs that they transition from team members to alumni, now that they've graduated and all their responsibilities, the teams are done, and getting together with them. And they're certainly happy and following everyone on what they're posting on Instagram and social media. It's great. So yeah, it's fun. It's been fun. It's been fun to be part of.
Thanks, Coach. Congrats again. We'll go ahead and start with Dennis De La Peña.
Hey, Coach, it's not like your program just became strong overnight, but there's nothing like a national title to just, really put you on the map for maybe casual sports fans. That said, how special is it for you because of all the hard work to finally land that natty?
Yeah. I think I said last week, like I recognize that we're probably one of the lower profile sports at UT. If you sort of surveyed the typical UT Longhorn fan and say, hey, what are the sports that, varsity sports? I mean, rowing might be the one like, oh, and then rowing. And I get that. That's totally cool. But I think with this, I've always said the best way to get noticed is to do something noticeable, and I feel like, us winning a national championship and not be like, oh, wait, Texas has a rowing team and they're really good, and from day one, when we came in here, we were like, yeah, like Texas, it's really good. It's a football school. It's a really good football school, and they've got really great tradition in swimming and a number of other sports. And like, let's turn this into a rowing school, and like I said earlier, like we've always like, yeah, do something noticeable and people will notice. And it's great for people to start noticing that, all the work that we've been putting in, it doesn't really change anything that we're doing, but yeah, it's good to get the recognition and to see people. And I always thought like winning a championship at Texas is going to be something special, that it is going to be celebrated and you are going to be recognized. And this is big time. And so we're definitely experiencing that, and it's great. It's great.
And now as a rowing school, you get to experience questions like this. Are you ready to repeat? Are you poised?
I've never looked at any year, even our first year here at Texas, I never look at it, there's no such thing as a rebuilding year. It's always, this is the group and we're going to make the most of the year, the experience. And yeah, we're built to last, so repeat next year. I don't know, like we can't control how fast the other teams are out there, but we've got a good group graduating. We've got we've done a great job developing kids and, getting better. And we have a really good group coming in. So yeah, we're not a one-hit wonder by any means. We're built to last for sure.
Thanks, Coach.
Roger, go ahead.
Coach, your comes down to about 7 minutes. I can't even imagine what that's like for you and for everybody but the rowers, because they're kind of in the moment. So kind of take us through those 7 minutes for you, and knowing some things had to fall into place.
Yeah, I think I said to one of my colleagues from another school at the starting line, I'm like, why do we do this to ourselves? Like, there's nothing that we can do. Like, they've been gone from us for 30 minutes and we're just sitting there quiet, just waiting for it to start, and hope that, they do everything that they've prepared for. And, but once it's out of your hands, I think for rowing, there is so much just preparation involved. And so you have to just sort of give up and leave it up to the athletes, to leave it up to the kids on the team to go out there and do their thing. And they did it. So it's, I was kind of saying to our team even before they left, and I was saying this, thinking about this myself, like that 1,000-meter mark when they're in the most amount of pain and there's so much intensity, it's sort of living life at its fullest, So at those times when I'm at the start, I'm like, oh man, like, or even biking along, like I think they can do it. It's like, yeah, you're really experiencing the height of the experience, of living. So, and then, you finish that and you're completely exhausted, like I didn't really have much of a physical effort, but I was exhausted yesterday from it all.
And then, Coach, just the commitment. It's not, I don't think, a coincidence when schools like Texas excel in the, Olympic type sports, non-revenue sports, however you want to label them. They went to Cal to get a rowing coach. You would have thought they would have done that. Is that also part of it when you say this can be a rowing school, because the commitment to things other than the ones we talk about on a daily basis is there?
Oh yeah, like I've always said, like I'm a big believer in the value of Division I athletics, for all the lessons you learn from being on our team, and like, not to get too sound like a sales pitch or recruiting, but I believe rowing can change the world. All the lessons you learn in rowing in terms of teamwork and leadership and camaraderie and dealing with pressure, all of it, what you learn on our team, come out to what you learn in the classroom, go off in the real world, make the world a better place, and I've said too, there's no better place for that Division I experience, that Division I student athlete experience than here at University of Texas. Like I really believe that this is the epitome of what, being a college athlete is, so there's no better place for a coach to be than here at UT. So I feel really fortunate. I'm grateful to be here and glad that things are working out.
Thanks.
Jeff Jones, go ahead.
No better place than UT. Can you elaborate on that for me? What makes this place so special?
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly it's a great school. First and foremost, it's a great school. Austin is a great place. Austin's a great city. But just the athletics is important within the, with the athletic department. The athletic department is committed for every sport to provide the resources, to do everything that they can do to make it a best experience for the student athlete. And I think you make it a great experience, the results will take care of themselves. I think a good example is just when we had the snowstorm in February, and how the athletic department stepped up in so many different ways to take care of the student athletes, or even when COVID hit, back in March, 2020, and a whole bunch of things that the athletic department did to really take care of the student athletes, to make sure that everyone was okay and healthy and taken care of, really spoke a lot in terms of, it's not just about winning, it's taking care of everyone, and then, so I think, you take care of the day-to-day stuff and make it a good experience, the results, you're going to be able to perform on race day, so they've here, the athletic department really values and takes care of the student athletes so they can make the most of this experience. The downside of that is there can sometimes be a sense of entitlement, when the athletes get a lot. But I think for us, we do a really good job of, entitled to nothing, grateful for everything. That's one of the themes within our team. And, I think, once, you're here at UT, I say that there's a lot, it's not just rowing, but I say other teams, like within our team, at times, there's a lot of kids, it's easy to become, what's the best way to put it without sounding too negative about anybody? It's easy to become, there are sometimes kids love everything about rowing except rowing. They love being a student athlete. They love the gear and going on the trips and, training table and all those things. But then the rowing, the sport part is hard. You know, I got that term from the former Cal football coach, Jeff Tedford. He was like, there's a lot of guys who love everything but football except football. You know, and I'm like, so, but I think we've done a good job with the kids on our team. They love the rowing, and the rowing is hard, you know, and we say like, yeah, it doesn't have to be fun to be fun. You know, it's fun to be part of a team that's fully committed towards one common goal. And yeah, so when kids embrace that, to embrace the hard stuff, that the work is the fun part. And we've done a good job of that. And I give a lot of credit to the kids on the team. So it's been working out pretty well.
Making the work the fun part, is that the secret? What is turned this program from what it was to a championship level program?
Yeah, I think a couple things come to mind. Certainly going back to that first year. I think that first year when we had a really great year, and you know, first 8 came in 4th and the team came in 7th, you know, we just jumped up into the top 10. I think the first couple of weeks, the kids on the team thought, they're like, okay, hey, Dave O'Neill is here, a new coach, and he's going to have like the secret sauce, you know. And then like the very first workout was hard. The next workout was hard. The next workout was hard. And I think once they realized like, oh, and then when I told them, guys, we're only doing 70% of what we need to do, they're like, okay, it doesn't get any easier. You know, I was like, it's not going to get easier, but you're going to get used to it. And I think that I give that first year's team a lot of credit, you know, and I think really helped, you know, propel us to where we are now, to embrace like, yeah, like being part of Texas. What I say is maybe the formula to success is really simple. You know, it's hard work plus good attitude equals success. You know, it's a really simple formula, but that doesn't mean it's easy. You know, like, you know, having a good attitude, working hard on a rainy day in early February, you know, or early morning in February, you know, like, yeah, it's easy not to give a great effort. It's easy to have a bad attitude when you've got 2 midterms later in the day and your boat's not going well. But I think we do a good job making sure it's all about attitude. It's all about effort on a daily basis, you know, so there's no real secret. I mean, that's, you know, every team will say, look, those two things are in your control, but I think we do a good job really holding everyone accountable and, you know, looking at the positive side of things, you know. So if it is that rainy, windy day in February, like, all right, okay, we chose to be here, like, let's make the most of this and let's have fun with it. So in recognizing, yeah, this is not an ideal situation, but rarely does everything work out perfectly. And on case in point this weekend, you know, when things weren't working out perfectly, but we had to make the most of it. So.
Terry Middleton, go ahead.
Coach O'Neill, congratulations on being national championships. That was a fantastic race. The whole weekend was awesome. Can you take us inside the boat and what had to happen in that last race for Texas to win? Because we were behind Michigan and then we were starting to eke up and it didn't look like we had it at all. And then all of a sudden it appeared that the team plugged into machine mode because they went faster on the last 500 meters than they did any part of the race. They were over 12 miles an hour. Yep. Can you take us into what had to happen inside the boat for that to even,
Yeah. Great question. I think what had to happen is everything that we talk about on a daily basis and that we work on throughout, you know, so within our team, for our race plan, you know, hopefully no one outside of Austin reads this, but within our race plan, I say that the race, you know, they just have to get to the 1,000-meter mark in position to win, you know, get into position to win at the 1,000-meter mark. And that's where when Michigan shot off, you know, when Michigan took off, that was fine. Even when Stanford got ahead, we were in position, you know, to win at the 1,000-meter mark. And then what I like to say is the best thing, the most motivating thing that everyone can hear in rowing is we're moving. You know, when you know that, you know, if you're behind and you are gaining on the who's in the lead, adrenaline kicks in, you know, and it's really important for adrenaline when the race is at the toughest moment at 1,250 meters, the middle of the third 500, you want adrenaline working in your favor. You know, so we work on that and we talk about that all the time. So if we can start moving or at least holding on at that most critical moment, we're in good shape, you know. So that's where, and like with 500 meters to go, and if you followed along, like Stanford was rowing 38, 39 strokes per minute. We were rowing 36, 37 strokes per minute. So a lower cadence, but which meant like, okay, we have another gear still left in us. And the team knows that. They know what's going on. And we've worked on that. So then when they get to the last 250, it's like, all right, now time for that extra kick. And when they hear and they know they can step up and they start to hear the coxswain say, we're moving, adrenaline starts to go. And what I say, and even I'd say to the team, like, information is motivation. So the 250 to go, you've got 30 strokes. And if you hear 30 strokes, we're one seat back, 30 strokes to win, like, boom, like I start getting chills, like, all right, they know they can do that. So then like, okay, 20 strokes even, they're like, all right, 10 strokes, we're ahead, like adrenaline starts going. And so that's where like that final kick. So, and that's, I think oftentimes that's the key in those races where it's so hard, you've got to get the right motivation at the right time, so.
You just describing that made chills, right? It's like I could feel that listening to the announcers on Sunday. They were even pulling for you. They said Texas clearly put their boots on, and they were fantastic. So it's all on the coxswain because the rowers are not looking at the other boats; they're just in the zone, right?
Right. Yeah. So a lot gets put on the coxswain to follow the plan that we have, and also know what's going on with everyone else. And yeah, so the coxswain is part, jockey for a racehorse, minus the whip, of course, but part psychologist, part motivator, part coach, race plan. And, I kind of say like the coxswain's tone can shift from airline pilot, like you're sort of an airline pilot in the first 500 meters, like, all right, Texas, we're rowing at 36 strokes a minute, smooth and steady. This is exactly what we want to be doing. And then at the halfway, you start to turn into the motivator, maybe the motivational speaker, like, yes, I can, you can do it. And then the last 250, she turns into the drill sergeant, like, I need more, you can give me more, so it's sort of a, what happens within the coxswain seat, within the coxswain's voice changes throughout the race, and the rowers just tuned into that and like, all right, and go for it.
That's fantastic. One more question for you. I think probably the world was watching the races. I was tracking on social media and then watching the race. And I noticed even, President Hartzell had made a comment after he remembers back in '97 when the rowing program just got started, and they, in his graduate school, they were recruiting. Winning the national title, how will this help you with recruiting and attracting? Have you already started receiving emails and phone calls of students?
Yeah, good question. For recruiting current rowers, whether Texas, United States, even around the world, we've actually done a really good job the last few years. Like the best rowers in the world are interested in us. And I think within this, maybe even going back to what President Hartzell tweeted out, something that we can do a better job of within Texas is those Texas athletes from other sports who haven't been exposed to rowing, who those cross-country runners who just aren't good, who are too tall to be a really good cross-country runner, or those swimmers who are really good swimmers, but not quite able to swim at the UT level, because, but they're 6 feet tall, like those kids who haven't been exposed to the sport because there's no rowing programs in San Antonio. There's a couple here in Austin, there's a couple in Houston, there's a few up in Dallas, but like we're the second most popular state in the country. But for those female high school athletes who are looking to do something different, who haven't been exposed to rowing, for them to recognize like, wait, I can join the rowing team at UT because we can teach people to row in a couple of years and be quite good. Half of the US women's Olympic team typically learns to row in college, So, so I think, we're doing a great job recruiting the best rowers in the world, the junior world championships and whatnot. But I think those kids who just don't know about rowing, I think that's where us turning Texas into a rowing state, recognizing, and becoming more high profile can have a huge, the biggest impact on our program.
Dennis, you have another one?
Yeah, that's really interesting, by the way. As far as people, of all the texts that you got, the voicemails, the congratulatory type calls, any of them jump off the page to you that just really meant something to you, or from somebody that maybe you're like, hey, they're a UT rowing fan. That's cool.
You know, the biggest one I'd say is the tweet from Matthew McConaughey. You know, the tweet from Matthew McConaughey, I think that had the biggest impact within our team. And then even within like someone else, another rowing program, I think tweeted that out, I'll put it on an Instagram, like, you know, has there ever been a bigger celebrity shout out than Matthew McConaughey, you know? And yeah, but I had like 150, 175 text messages and, you know, another 80 emails and whatnot. So yeah, but I think the Matthew McConaughey shout out got the most attention from everybody.
Nice. Thanks.
Roger, go ahead.
Yeah, one more day. The back to the, you know, teaching kids to row. It almost sounds like the bobsled. I mean, you know, there's so many former football players or, you know, bigger track athletes. It's interesting. How do you kind of get a groundswell to get that message out, you know, other than us today, that, you know, that there's a sport for you that you may not even know?
Right. I think winning a national championship does it, you know, like getting that word out and people are like, oh, hey, you know, and, you know, we've made some inroads along the way, but like I said earlier, like best way to get noticed, do something noticeable, and people notice like, oh, hey, Texas has a really good rowing team and there's an opportunity there, you know? So, yeah, so we'll be getting the word out better and better. And, yeah, so I think, you know, I think the first step is people just recognizing that we've got a really good team and there's an opportunity. So yeah, and I think that'll start, just the groundswell will just build and build and build.
Very cool. Thanks.
Hey, Dave, in closing, I think I know your goal coming in here was to make this a national championship program, but you've been in a Hall of Fame and walking in that national champions room and seeing your trophy up there. What's that going to feel like?
Yeah, sort of, you know, being up there with all the other Texas, wonderful, you know, great Texas coaches. It's humbling, you know, it's, you know, I've walked through there a few times, but to be honest, I'm just like, yeah, let's not get too used. Don't get too comfortable in here, you know. So obviously that's the goal, but you know, but I guess the goal is always, you know, I enjoy the process, the you know, the practice and being with the team and all that all the other accolades of, you know, getting your photo on the wall. That's just a bonus. So I think that's not really, yeah, that's not always the goal. It's the, you know, I guess that's like the icing on the cake in a way. So it'll be nice. It'll be nice, but I try to be kind of understated in some of that stuff though.
Awesome.
Believe it or not, you know, it can be understated with that stuff.
What about the team trophy up there?
Yeah, that'll be great. You know, I think, you know, something that we had said within the team, like there's sort of the key to a team is to get as many people into the boat with you as possible, you know, so that it wasn't just the 8 rowers and 1 coxswain, there was all their teammates and all the alums and all the support staff and all those people that were involved in it. So I think I see that trophy up there, like a lot of work from a whole lot of people for years to help make this happen. So I think it was great. You know, going back to what Dennis said about, you know, texts from people and getting so many texts from alums, and I'm like, hey, this wouldn't, and I was, you know, this would not have happened if it wasn't for the work of all those people. So, you know, that's what I was writing to them. I'm like, you know, so many different people along the way that, you know, worked so hard that put us in the position for Sunday. So I think, yeah, it'd be great for that trophy being up there for so many people to, you know, relish in the role that they played in making it happen.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time.
Right on. Thank you. Hook 'em.